Well, oh, now we have trace people. Cool. All right, well, the point of today was to, I always feel so awkward. The point was to tell you which varieties of tomatoes and peppers I have planted this year. And some are the same and some are different. And so I think I'll start with peppers, but I feel like I want to talk about tomatoes first. So actually I'm going to talk about tomatoes first. All right, so tomatoes. And the reason I want to talk about tomatoes is because I haven't found very many varieties that I love and that I plant year after year after year. For a while, I was just planting the same varieties because they worked. And it wasn't because I loved them. It was like, oh, I can grow these, so I'm just gonna keep planting them. And so one that I have traditionally, I've planted every single year in my garden, is called the Gold Nugget, and it's a yellow cherry tomato. Not growing that one this year. I am trying a new one, actually, if I can find it in here, called the Sun Gold. The Sun Gold, and these were very expensive seeds, and you only got 20 in a pack, which, yeah. But a lot of people rave about these. They're kind of more of an orangey gold color. So I'm excited. They're Sun Gold. It says fruity, tropical, sweet flavored apricot orange round globes. They're on like trusses, so they look like grapes kind of. And it's an indeterminate plant, which means it keeps growing and growing and growing, and it grows all, like once it sprouts, or once it fruits for a long time. Whereas determinate is usually, it grows to like a certain height, and it has like a shortened harvest window. So these should produce for a while, and I'm excited. I hope they don't die though. Because I like a cherry tomato in the summer, you know, like fresh, delicious, like candy. Speaking of candy, now I'm not a wine drinker, but I'm pretty sure that this tomato is supposed to be named after a wine type thing. Sweet aperitif, I don't know, aperitif. I discovered this one a few years ago, and I introduced my mother-in-law to this one last year, and it is a culinary and what's it when you can taste something? Delight. It's a little red cherry tomato. They're very small, like this big. The sweetest tomatoes I've ever had in my entire life. Sweet aperitif is what I call them, but I don't think that's how you say it. So if you're a wine drinker, you should tell me how to say that. All right, so this one I've grown for a few years. I will continue to grow it every year in my garden until the day I die. So hopefully that's not soon. Sun Gold is a new one that's replacing my Gold Nugget. Another one that I'm growing this year that I have grown in the past is the Hillbilly. It's an heirloom tomato. It is big, like 1 to 2 pound fruit. Golden orange, it has streaks. It looks like an heirloom tomato. It's pretty cool. They're indeterminate, so they keep growing and producing for a longer amount of time. They're pretty good, and they're just fun. I think they're really good sliced on a sandwich. That's how I liked them last year, so that's why I'm growing them again this year. I honestly haven't found that many heirloom tomatoes that either A, grew well or were worth the hassle. Like they didn't taste that great, so why am I putting all the effort into growing an heirloom variety? So these are the two new ones that I'm trying this year, and they're both from the state of Oregon. Oregon Star is a paste tomato, and so that's, if you think of paste tomato, it's like a Roma tomato, that's the size. And yeah, I mean, my husband likes that type of tomato to cook with, like in the kitchen, fresh foods, salsas, those types of things. He just likes how firm they are and how they stay together. So I'm trying this variety this year. I guess according to this one is it doesn't really have a uniform shape, like they kind of are different shapes and stuff. So that's kind of interesting. I'll have to see how that goes. And then the Oregon Spring, which is supposed to be a good slicing tomato, just your basic round, what you would imagine a tomato to be. But the thing about both of these Oregon ones is that they are determinate, which means they have a shorter harvest window. So I'm just kind of curious to see how they do. Yeah, so not too much, only 2 that I've grown in the past. Am I growing again this year? I also try to choose them based off of like how long of days. I don't know, this is probably backwards on your guys' side. But like this one takes 65 to 70 days to be fully mature. This one's 75 to 80, this one's 85. I have one as early as 60. So I try to have them some type of tomato growing and ready to eat throughout the whole summer season. So yeah, any questions about tomatoes, shoot them to me. I have to read them sideways. Okay, yeah. So tomatoes are fun. And in fact, I can show you the ones I planted just last weekend have already started to sprout. So here we go. Yes, I'm in my pajama pants. You probably just saw that. Business on top, party down below. I don't know what I'm saying. Okay, so these are the tomatoes. I just started them on what, Saturday or Sunday? And they're already popping up. Today's Thursday. So that's exciting. Tomatoes are fun. And yeah, and I'll talk a little bit more about like the dirt I use and stuff in just a little bit. So those are my tomatoes. Okay, peppers. Want to hear about peppers? All right. Excuse me. So I have my cool, I don't know if you guys saw this back in the day, but I got this for Christmas and it organizes all my seeds. But I think I'm gonna need another one because I have so many seeds. Okay, peppers. All right, so last year was my first year where I could say that I successfully grew peppers. Like, they looked good, they tasted good, and I had a lot of them. But every year I have kind of a goal of a couple of crops or a couple of things that I want to achieve during the growing season, and one of them was to grow peppers. So this year, I have a couple that I grew last year. I'll just tell you, the La Bamba is a jalapeno pepper that I grow every year. And last year it really grew great for me. It's a pretty short season, like it only takes 56 days to mature, but remember peppers need hot weather. So they're not usually as early as tomatoes to come on. Yeah, and they're spicy, they're truly spicy. But something that I got to kind of, just for fun, to try is a Felicity Jalapeno, which is a heatless one, so it's not supposed to be very spicy. So I'm curious to see how that one goes. So like for people who like jalapeno poppers and stuff but don't really like a lot of spice, I'd imagine this would be good. I'm also growing, these were on sale, so I just got them. They're a sweet pepper glow. They're supposed to be kind of an orange color. Haven't ever grown those before. We mostly eat peppers with like Mexican dishes and stuff, so I don't often think about Italian dishes, but I am growing Oranos Italian peppers this year. They are sweet, crunchy, and uniquely orange, and they'd be good in main dishes, or they'd be good as stuffed peppers, any types of pepper recipes. Oh, somebody. Hi, Stephanie. No one here puts things in the ground till after stock show. That's Jude. When can you put them in the ground? Oh, I know. So that's true. Yeah. So I think that La Grande is in zone 4 or 5, which means you definitely have a shorter growing season over there. So you would, if you wanted to grow something that like a hot weather pepper or something, you would need something that didn't take very long to mature. So you would want to do something like the jalapeno pepper, which only takes 56 days to mature. You could put it in June and have peppers by mid-August before the first freeze. But yeah, that's definitely something you would have to look at. For us, we technically could put it in the ground earlier, but most people around here don't put, especially sensitive plants like tomatoes and peppers, don't generally put them in the ground until after Mother's Day. That's the rule around here. So yeah. 2 more that I'm growing. Anaheim. Eric told me, my husband, he told me that I need to grow Anaheim pepper. I haven't grown one, so I just picked one out at random and we'll see how it goes. But yeah, so the Anaheim College 64. Seems good. And then I'm also growing the classic, it's the Wonderbell. I think it actually originated in California. It's a lot like the ones you see in the store, your basic green bell pepper. All right, and I can show you my pepper plants, but they're not sprouting quite as well as those tomatoes are because peppers do take longer to germinate. So let me show you these. And I actually planted some green onion around the same time. So I have just a few, let's see. The sweet glow pepper is starting to, and the Felicity Jalapeno, which is interesting because that one was going to take a long time. And then over here is my bunching onion. I'm trying something new with how I planted them. I've grouped them in like 5 seeds in a bunch and then 5 bunches in a 4-inch pot, and then I'll put them in the ground like that. So we'll see how that goes. Okay, sorry, my phone's twisted sideways, so I'm like trying to make sure I'm reading the comments. Okay, so just real quick, what do I use dirt-wise to, and we call it soil. Gardeners don't like to call it dirt, it's soil. But I'm not snoity like that. So I've been using this mix for the last few years and have had like amazing germination, like almost all my seeds will grow. In the past, when I first started, I used those little pods that you put the water in and they expand. And those are awesome, like great starter ones. Definitely, you can see them at Walmart in the little greenhouse. I used those for like the first 3 or 4 years that I was gardening. They are awesome. And if you're gonna grow peppers or tomatoes in those, get the bigger ones. That way you don't have to like mess with the roots so much. Same as if you plant like cucumbers and things like that, you'll wanna grow them in the bigger pods. There's like the 1-inch ones and then there's like a 3 or 4-inch one. But if you have questions about that, I can help you. Anyway, what I use now, and you can find this at Walmart, Home Depot, wherever, and it's a little bag, but it goes a really long way. So it's just the Jiffy Organic seed starting mix. It has peat moss, coconut coir, and vermiculite. It's a very light, fluffy mix. I don't know if you can see this. It's funny that you can see my pajama pants. But very light, very fluffy. Holds water very easily, but also dries out quickly. So you kind of have to keep an eye out for that. Which seems ironic that it holds water, but it dries out. It's just because like the surface will dry out, whereas the bottom will retain water pretty well. But you can get that for like $5 a bag. And I use that bag to do both of those trays that you've already seen, plus some other onions, and I still have mix left. So unless you're planting like a bajillion plants, I think it's a pretty good value. And what I do is I just put them in these little things. You can buy them on Amazon or whatever. And I live on well water, and so they leave crusties, and I washed them out and sanitized them just a couple weeks ago, but that's the hard water you see there. I just put the dirt in there, and then I put them in a tray like this that you guys saw, and that's how I do them. And then when it comes time to plant them out, I just squeeze the bottoms out. So that's what I use to start all my seeds. I do also use a seedling mat, especially for the peppers and tomatoes to get really good germination because they like it hot. And I do use some grow lights, but yeah. So I think that's basically it. Those are the varieties I'm growing of tomatoes and peppers. That's the dirt I use to start. You guys have any questions for me before I scoot you off to bed? No? Nope. All right, well, thanks for watching, guys. It's fun to kind of do these after my kids go to bed. Don't mind, I don't know about in LeGrand and other places, but we have like 50-mile-per-hour winds out here right now. It's the pits. So hopefully the weather turns soon and we can get outside. See you guys later. Maybe, if I know how to finish this.